Hi, we are on to the next video for assignment 4 part 2. Now, you should already have this layout that we discussed in the last video. And what we're going to do now is we're looking at what this original object might look like three-dimensionally. And a good way to do this is to build a little model of the object. You can do it with Play-Doh or whatever. So I've got this little junky model of my object here. And what we're trying to do is imagine what this could look like if we put it this direction or to the other side or even from above. So the way we'll start is more of layout. So we'll take this original object and hopefully you saved this black cutout piece. If you didn't, you could always trace from your first drawing and trace that and then cut it out and then use it for this next step. So what I'll do then is trace the object onto this new bounding box that we've made. So I've got something like this, and I'll use my eraser to erase out these X's that I put in there to show you these bounding boxes earlier. Next, what we're going to do is establish some transfer lines. So the way I want you to think about this is I want you to think about every corner as an event. So I'm going to put a little dot at every corner that I've got, every spot where a change happens. Then what we'll do is we'll do transfer lines, and I'm going to do the top ones first so that I can just show you. So I'm using my straight edge and I'm lining it up with this line and these points that I've got right along this line. And I'm going to go straight up and I'm going to make sure that my straight edge is lined up with these other guidelines that I've set up. So I want to make sure that everything's straight. And what I'll do from this point, I'm going to make dashed lines that come up all the way through the upper bounding box, up like that. And I've got another point right here, so I'll line that up and more sort of light dashed lines like that. And I'm looking around. This point lines up with this point. So you can see this bottom event that I had there lined up with this. So it's taken care of by this transfer line. Then I'll go to the sides and I might go a little bit lighter here because if you choose to do more than one side view, the sides have to comport with each other. So I'll just go from this point first over on this side, and I'll do my dash transfer lines over into next box here. I'll come down and I've got another event right here. And so I'm going to go on that same side and do more transfer lines. Now I mentioned, and part of the assignment is you can do more than one side view. And that's something that you'll need to figure out, which will be instructed by the first view that you do. So I'm going to take that same point right there and lightly bring its transfer lines over to the other side view box. I'll come back to the one I already did, and I'll do the same thing really lightly. So I've got something like this so far. I'm going to come over now to this side and look at where my points are. I can see that this point is at the top of the box. So this is our original bounding box. And so I don't need a transfer line because I know that's at the very top of the box and I've already got a guideline there. But I've got this point right here, and that might cause an event. And so I'll bring that over here and lightly over to the rear of that side. I've got an event right here. So I'll do the same. And that way I've got something like this. So looking through all of this, all of these dash guidelines that I've put in are instructions for myself. And what they tell me is what side views and top views could look like. So side views are called elevations, and a top view is called a plan. So looking at this further and coming back to my model here, I need to think about some things. From the front, we know what it looks like from the front. And maybe I've got my original, so I'll put that in there so it's easier to see what I mean. From the front, we've got this. That doesn't give me all the information about what it might look like from the side though, because if I turn this, all of a sudden I see that I've got a hole right here. And so from the front, I can't see that there's a hole going through the side, but when I turn it to the side, so if I'm going from here and I'm turning it to the side from here, I can see that there's a hole through there. Now the other thing is, this view does not give me information about the depth of this side. If you see from this view, I've got this width here, and when I turn it on the side, I've only got this little width here. So that complicates things just a little bit. That tells me that I would need to measure this depth here and center that depth over here in the side view. So up through the center, I would have this view. Now, you don't have to make it that complex, because what you could do is just imagine to yourself that this is a perfect rectangle and that this depth right here is indeed the same width as this width. And so that's what we'll do just to start. So I've got these guidelines, and at the simplest, I could say that this is the only view that has carving out of it. And from this view, it's just straight up and down and lines indicating where those events happened. So I could do that, and I can just then fill in those corners as they would appear if I was looking at this from head on. And to help me conceptualize this, what I could do is put a little shading in down here. And so I'm putting in shading to indicate that this bit right here comes inward towards the bottom. So I could just do a little shading here like this. And up here, I've got this ledge sticking out, and so this is back behind, so I could do a little bit of shading up here. Now, this little bit comports with a little teeny edge that I've got right here that you might not be able to see on the camera. But the important thing that I mentioned, now going back to this, is that hole that I mentioned. And I'm going to imagine that this hole is centered right to left. So I'm going to find the center point up here, because we knew my hole took place up here on the original model. I'll find the center point left to right on that. And I remember that this was 60 across, so I'll make a little line there, and then up and down, I need to find that center point. So that's 26 to 29, so 1.5. So I've got a little X, a little cross right here, telling me where the center of this hole is. from there, I could then imagine that hole to be whatever size that I want. And I can use that cross point as the center of my hole, like that. And then I would erase out all the stuff in that hole, like that. So that is giving me all this information. I've got this model, and then when I turn it to its side, I've got the drawing of this view. And what I mentioned about these ledges sticking out like this, when we look at it from this view, they just appear as lines. We can't see back behind here. So that's why this is just a line across. Now, if I was going then to do this other side, we know that this hole went all the way through. And so the other side view could just be this flat line, like this. It's a flat plane with a hole through it. So I could just find where my center point is over here. My compass is still set at the same setting. And I could put this hole there, and that tells me that then this hole goes all the way through. So when I spun this all the way around over to here, that hole is still there. So these are at the simplest version, because like I said, if I turn this actual model onto its side, it's narrower than this side view, this elevation. So in that case, this drawing over here would be scrunched up, and this would be really narrow. So just to reiterate the fact that we can't see the things happening on this side from this view, I could have all kinds of stuff happening here. I could have graffiti happening on this side, you know, X's and O's happening on this side, whatever. I can't see it from this view, so there's no indication of it from that view. Now, if I had a little bit more complex object here without this flat line here, that's when I may be able to see through that side and see bits like this. So even though this ledge is over here, it's possible that we could have another hole on this side right here. Move that up a little bit so you can see what I mean. We could have another hole on that side and see this little bit of that ledge through it. And if I erase around it, because at the end I want you guys to erase the guidelines, there I can see through that hole that I've got this little ledge back here. Let me see if I can pull this up a little bit on the model. So you can see I've got this ledge back here that I can see the back of. Now, top view gets a little more complicated because I need to show the events that happen over here up on the top, as well as the events that happen over here on the top, and the events that happen here on the top. On this example, though, we've made this whole thing rectangular from the top, so none of the events on the sides are really going to show up here. It's all what's going to happen from the top view. So from this point, we're going to go and show this view. And in this view, on this model, we're only seeing this ledge right here and this rectangle up here. So what I need to do is I need to look at where that ledge, our original ledge, came up to the top of the box, and that's why I've got this line right here. If you had more events happening on this side, say we say we cut a notch out right here. And so from this view over here, we're saying that there's a notch cut out right here on the half dried out Play-Doh. Like this. A little notch right there. We need to do something else with the compass. And what we'll do, we'll put the compass point on the top right-hand edge of this bounding box. And what this does is it stretches the compass past these 20 millimeters here and accounts for those 20 millimeters, accounts for these 20 millimeters at the top of the box, and I'll stretch it all the way over to the first event on this notch right here. And so then I just take that and I spin it up right here. And now I've got this new point that indicates where the top of this happened in our notch. I'll put the straight edge then there and put in a new transfer line. Now, this plan view, the top view, is optional for a better grade. So this view and the side view are minimum requirements. So I've got my indication of where this point happens and the notch. And I need to go over now and I need to account for this bottom of the V. And so I'll bring that up to this top edge of the box. And again, this is getting more complex. Another transfer arc up, another point, another guideline. And then I go to the other part of the V notch, and it's already at the roof. So I'll stretch out to that point. And it comes up like that. We've got that. I put in the next guideline like this. And now I've got these guidelines crossing like this. And that's just giving me an indication of where these events are going to happen. And these actually transfer up over to the other side because it was from this tall piece up here where we put our notch. And so from the top view like this notch is just 3 lines. And they happen right over here. And so I'll put those 3 lines in. I'll erase out my guidelines. Now, I mentioned that side views have to comport with each other. So since I put this notch in right here, I have to get it over here to this side in the same location. So what I could do is I can measure over from the side of the box, and that's about 7 millimeters. So I'll put that in. The center of the notch was at about 11 millimeters. And the far side of the notch was at about 15 millimeters. Then I need to measure down to get that lower corner. And that's about 5 millimeters down, straight down. Then I would use my straight edge to make that little notch. And that will then match up with where this event takes place up on the top up here. I'm going to leave it to you, for those of you who are going to go further with this, to figure out, using this example, of how to transfer up to here to get things to work out correctly. And again, in the simplest instance, this ledge right here would just show up as a straight line across the top of the box. I'm going to erase out those earlier transfer lines so I can conceptualize this better. So that would be the easiest, and this would be a straight line across, showing that top plan view, something like this. So again, minimum is to show the side view, and that's very minimum. And again, this is the most basic example, conceptualizing this as a perfect rectangle, an elongated cube where this width is the same as this depth. In the end, you might have something like this. So you can see in my example, the original object is here. I turn it on its side and it's here. I turn it on its other side and it's here. And then from the top view, it's this rather complex top view. It's helpful to do little drawings for yourself, or of course, do little models for yourself. And I've had people build these out of anything. So Play-Doh works really well. Legos work well. Even paper works well, just to help you spin this in your mind. Any questions about this, please put them in discussion. This may be our most complex project conceptually. And for some people, this is quite challenging. And other people, this can make sense right away. There's not the sort of multiplication and plotting points as we've done before, because we're looking at an entirely different idea here. So questions in the discussion section or email me.